Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the spooky and great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and they call me Chris of the Northwest. And we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're waiting in a sincere pumpkin patch for the great pumpkin to arrive, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Yes, indeed. And tonight we're talking about the big Halloween events of the last couple of weeks. Happy Hallows Eve there. Did you get out to an event in the last week or so? I know some of you did. Listeners, jump in that chat. Give us your feedback. Tell us all about what you did for Halloween to celebrate. And we're going to get into talking about those events and other things with Komokino and all you guys in the chats. But first, it's time to bring in our haunting, howling monkey, some say. He buys his candy at half price the day after Halloween. And others say he takes his Halloween mask 3 times a month. All we know is he's called Len Monkey.
I think he's supposed to take it off 3 times a month.
At minimum.
I thought that's like, okay, is that like a play on words? There's some sort of elixir.
I just figured there was some joke there I didn't understand, and I just read it as it was written.
Just paid to show up and read. Good to see you guys. To be here with everybody. It is a lively evening outside my studio window. So if every once in a while there's Keats 94 has you cornered there.
Yeah.
If every once in a while there's some screaming or loud bangs, I'm not actually in downtown Seattle. I am at my place. And
it's hard to tell the difference sometimes.
Well, it could be any night in downtown Seattle.
It's every night.
Anyways, hey, just poking a little fun at downtown Seattle. But you know what else is fun is the support we get from our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. And we want to thank our corporate Denali level sponsors. That would be Land Sharks and Cash. So folks, if you want to get anything you've seen on geocaching.com, well, Landshark is an official geocaching.com reseller, so you can also get there. And Cachly is the premier geocaching app for iOS. Version 8 with Cachly Pro features those offline maps, the Delorme and counties to finish those grids. And I'll tell you, interjection, Chris in the Northwest this past weekend showed me the Delorme and county grids and how those work on Cachly. I was very impressed. So
you should be using Cachly.
Well, except I'm not an iPhone user.
Well, we can change that.
Yeah.
Have you seen Cachly? It's worth changing.
It could be worth changing your phone for, but find Cachly in the iOS App Store or go to Cachly. And folks, if you want to know anything else about supporting the show, because anybody can support this podcast, and we encourage you to do that. And whether that's through the financial contributions of our patrons, or even just making sure you give every episode a thumbs up on the socials and participate in the chat, like all those things, and subscribe to our channel, and all those things help the best. But if you are able to financially support the podcast, we really appreciate that support from all of our patrons. You can find out more by clicking on the Patreon link in the cachingnw.com website.
Very nice. Komokino, have you listened to the podcast before?
Nope. First time here. I don't even know who you folks are.
Okay. Well, then this next bit isn't going to work at all, and we'll have to move on.
No.
But it's time for the glow, and there's usually a question I like to ask about now. Do you know what it is?
It's the geocaching log of the week.
No. What's the question I want asked?
Komokino gave us the answer.
Yeah, he gave us the never mind.
I'm sorry. I'm done. What's a glow?
What is a glow?
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun.
But you apparently know what a glow is.
Yeah,
it is.
It's not my first time in this rodeo here, so yeah.
Oh, look at everybody in the live chat going with it.
Yeah,
I love you.
You guys are all better than Rich. Yay!
Doesn't take much.
Way to set the bar, Rich.
Aim low.
Komokino, whether you wrote it or whether you read it, we want to hear about it, because great logs simply make geocaching better. Komokino, you could call in to 253-693-TFTC. In fact, we'll hold the podcast while you do that right now.
Okay, what was that number? It was Area code.
253-693 TFTC. You know what you could also do? You could send a recording, because I saw you had a fancy smartphone there. You could send a recording to feedback@cachingnw.com, or you know what? You could just email your glow right there to feedback@cachingnw.com. We'll accept it. And then we would have something like we have tonight, where Wits End is going to read us a story apropos to the season.
Yeah, you could send one of those field recordings in from an event. It could be a log. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what this acronym that Barling put up. That must be like logs in event spaces, I think.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I was trying to come up with what it meant, but it has to be something with
wouldn't that
logs.
be hilarious? We'll change out the glow for the lies and only send in event logs.
Okay. Well, let's see. The log tonight was logged by Shilly69, and it was a log on a cache, GC Juliet 7 Victor Hotel. Does anybody know what that cache is just by the GC code? Yeah, you can read the notes. You don't count.
Oh.
You're cheating.
I'm not cheating. I found it.
Yeah, you did. We did find this together. This is a favorited cache by many. There's a hum there somewhere.
Somebody's got a hum.
It's called
That's a humdinger.
It's called the bloated, festering head of my first victim, don't you know? And there's a new log by Shelley69. The log says, wow, what an adventure we had today. Benin and I have had this cache on our to-do list for a long time, but the weather or timing never seemed right. We wanted to try this when it was warmer, drier, and during the day, as this was definitely one I wouldn't want to do at night. Cache had asked us earlier in the week if we wanted to find this one, and we were in. After reading lots of past logs, waders seemed to be a must, even with the warmer weather. Gloves, long sleeves, hat, and a machete. Check. We were ready.
Oh boy, were they ready?
Yeah, I think that's well prepared for this.
Either that or Crystal Lake. Jeez.
Yeah. After a short walk on the path, we found a small clearing and began the bushwhacking. Finnan led the way, and we tried to follow animal trails, but still managed to hit some thick brush and mud. I was thankful for the waders when I sunk to my knee in mud, as I don't think my boot would have made it back out. For 45 minutes, we were within 50 feet and close to the swampy water. Finnan headed left, and I heard him give a shout. Dang, Mr. Thomas has seen better days, but was I ever glad to see those shining eyes. We inked our names on the log and took pictures to celebrate finding this one. Now it was time to head back before Elalidian could drag us further into the swamp. It was at this time that I realized my waders had been shredded on the way in, and I was hoping we didn't hit any more mud. After more than an hour of serious bushwhacking, we spotted the group of trees that indicated we were almost back to the trail. It took some serious effort to make the last few yards to the clearing, and then that was it. We had tempted fate and had come back without becoming Elalidian's next victims. Elalidan, I've stumbled over that name every time I've seen it.
It's a nice one to copy and paste.
From this point forward, that
How do you
shall
spell
be
that?
Dan. 2 hours with the swamp were enough for me, and I seriously doubt I will ever return to visit with Mr. Thomas again. But memories of the adventure will live long. Special thanks to my teammates for braving with me, and thanks to those previous finders who I reached out to for guidance and inspiration. I'm quite happy and content to be back home now. Let the swamp creatures lay undisturbed wherever they may be. Thank you for this interesting hide.
Oh.
Mr. Thomas is only ahead. He's not much of a threat, but Dan, that's the one you got to look out for.
Komakino spelled it out there for you. Or that's really how it's spelled.
Okay. That's how I read it the first time, but in the last part of the log here, it's spelled differently.
Oh, is it?
So then I questioned myself, as I am often wont to do.
Oh, you're right.
See?
Yeah.
One says Elalidian, one says Elalidan, so Dan is now the accepted pronunciation.
It's so much easier to read than to say. Well, thank you very much. The bloated, festering head of my first victim.
Or the floated best head.
It's in a swamp.
Floating head.
Floating.
You're kind of a floating head there.
Yeah.
Incoming message from the
He's a little transparent.
Yeah.
I like to be open, honest, and transparent.
Okay. Perfect for an audio podcast.
Isn't it though?
ghastly.
That was one of the caches. What did we do that at our 500? No, we didn't do that
No.
at 500. The 1,000 or
I
something.
don't know. We did the
What-
8
what-
cache at 500. I forget
Yeah.
what it was, but
Yeah, it was one of our milestone caches.
every cache is a milestone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I still have memories of it, and I think my clothes still smell from that swamp. What was the GC number? It was.
Here, I was going to paste it in. I can
Oh,
find
thank
it.
you.
Oops. Let's see. How about there? Does that go? Did I do it? Did I figure it out?
You did it.
Okay.
Well played.
That's a good one. That was a memorable cache
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to plan for that sometime on down.
Yeah.
And you have to plan for it. Just
glad
don't
Yeah,
think,
well, that's what
we'll
I'm.
just pop in and do it.
This is we've done a few glows from that cache on
Yeah.
the show, and every time it's like, okay, this is not just a park and grab here.
I'm glad to hear that it's still active.
Yeah,
Mhm. The cache container, which is a head, right,
Yeah.
made out of foam, has really taken some damage over the years. It
Yeah.
hasn't held up well. So when you look at it, it's more festering than I think it was when we found it. Or it's less bloated. Hey, I have a question here from Lost Ken that I've also gotten from a couple people in real life. So since platforms change and evolve over time, people want to know, how do you get a wrench next to your name? And I think GSM times 2 said it best. You must be a trusted contributor who can put a link into the chat or donate $500, whichever one you prefer.
I thought they were just Snap-on dealers.
Oh, maybe they are.
I didn't realize we were saying wrench. So okay.
Oh, were you going with wench?
Wow.
It's a winch.
Oh, a winch, right?
Yeah. To pull you out of the swamp with a bloated, festering head.
Yeah.
And as Wet Custer points out, if you're coming down from Canada, when you're crossing the border, don't tell them you're going for the bloated, festering head of my first victim.
On the way back in, it's fine.
Purpose of your visit?
I
Yeah.
visited
Oh,
the
God.
bloating, festering head of my first victim.
How funny.
Yeah.
At first, then they'll throw you in jail.
Yeah. So anyway, the wrench comes from YouTube, and apparently now it's carried over in StreamYard, which we use.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, look at
See?
that. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because now it shows up here in StreamYard, which it didn't a few months ago. So you need to graduate for making screwdrivers for the wrench. So,
Okay, did we actually answer the question at any point of how do you get the wrench beside your name?
Bryling
Home
is
Depot.
actually being useful. The wrench indicates a chat moderator who can squish spam or other unwanted comment in the chat.
So, okay.
Or
and
you
we
just
continue
mix
to say what
vodka and orange juice.
we continue to say what it's for. I don't think anybody's actually ever answered the question, how does one achieve it? How does one get it? Other
Just
than the
given
500
to us, right?
I have to go over in another window here
The
and find somebody who doesn't have one. Like, let's say Cache Canada here, and I can add them as moderator.
Carlos.
Whoa, hold on. We trust Dave with a wrench?
No. we don't.
the lady of the lake arises from the mist and casts upon the wrench.
Look,
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah.
some
Gong!
distributing swords is no system for government.
Watery tar rose out of a pond.
There you go. So,
All right.
we have only had a couple of ne'er-do-wells that ever have entered into the podcast, and
Other than
Yeah, but they've
the
stuck
host.
with us.
other
so-
than the host, right?
Yeah.
Or a guest. And the community has jumped on that quickly and shut them down because, I give you the power to go do that. So just, squash that.
So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I mean, really, we're just up here talking. We don't pay attention to what's going on in the chat all that much.
That's what
but-
the chat lackey's for.
There's
Exactly.
a chat.
Oh, can you believe it?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a chat. Hey,
Okay.
should we
What's up?
give one to Lost Ken?
He is the one that asked the question.
So you ask the question
just
and
like,
you get a wrench.
Well, let me go find somebody in the chat that doesn't have one. Totally ignoring the person that asked the question.
Well, his question scrolled past, so I couldn't see it anymore.
Oh, fantastic.
Good excuse.
There he is. Hang on.
Neil lost Ken as Chris of the Northwest bestows upon the wrench of moderation.
There, look.
Wrench
Wait,
of
where'd it go?
You
See?
tap him on the
He's totally
shoulder. with it.
wrenchified now.
Oh, but he forgot the words. He's only humming now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on as a guest, Komakino.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Oh, wait, we have a guest tonight? I thought we were just talking about people in
You
the
know, I
There's
show
no
up
wrench
and
in
everybody gives out
Komakino's name.
wrenches and stuff or wenches. I don't know how it works here.
look at this. There's no wrench on Komakino's name.
Wait,
Hmm.
what?
Huh.
Yeah, but that's
It's because
Did
we
you
don't
move
trust
it?
him.
You have to come back for 5 episodes.
that's because no,
What?
he has a wrench in.
I have a, and I see that in the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Oh,
he has-
okay.
it just doesn't show
Because-
on.
Yeah, I
our-
was blessed with that like many a moon ago.
This is a
Monkey
really
space many baboons
on
ago.
topic conversation,
Well,
right?
you know, sometimes we open up what we do behind the scenes, and then you look, and then you listen to it and go, "Really? This is what they do?"
And then
yeah.
we regret it later. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because nobody really cares what happens behind the scenes. They're I want to see, and then you show them, and they're like, "Oh, that's it." Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
having second thoughts now. He's too much pressure. Take it away.
Okay, I can do that.
Don't make me take this wrench away. We'll pull this podcast over and take all your wrenches away.
With
Oh,
great power comes a
comes
wrench.
great wrench.
All right. So why
possibilities.
are we here tonight?
We're here to talk about the Halloween events. We'll eventually get to them, but if you have an interesting Halloween story, use the hashtag Halloween in the chat. You can ask any questions. You can pose thoughts, something that pops into your head, somewhat related to the show or how we operate the show in the background or how YouTube works or, whatever. Just toss that in there. And of
That
course,
would be a fatas.
vodka
Oh.
and orange juice?
that's a screwdriver. I don't know what a wrench is.
Can you drink it?
Can you do like a fuzzy wrench?
Oh, God.
Mm.
But of course, you can also use FATAS to talk about things that, well, they may not relate to the show, which at this point is going to be a stretch to find something that doesn't relate to the show.
Yes.
Why break a
GSM
habit?
times 2. Last week, someone came on and asked, "Is this a podcast about geocaching?" And GSM times 2 says, "Apparently, it isn't."
Well, tonight
Sometimes.
it's a podcast about podcasting about geocaching.
Yeah.
How
podcast
meta.
about- yeah, something like that. It's normally a lot more under control when Komakino's not a guest.
I'm sorry, it's all my fault.
It's because he's got that really cool ceiling that Heather likes.
There we go. All right.
Maybe
So
it's this thing that
hashtag
might
Halloween
fall
to talk about the
Hashtag
topic.
Halloween.
To talk about the topic, which we're still not sure what it is, but Rich will get us there at some point.
And
And
before we get into the topic, I mean, we haven't really gotten there yet, so let's not break the ice there.
Okay, you got some news?
Yeah, Land Monkey, you have some news for us.
I have some for you guys.
Surprise.
Hey, guess what? Chicken butt. That's a wrap on World Postcard Day. Between September 29th and October 5th, over 18,000 geocachers attended events around the world to celebrate postcards and geocaching while earning the World Postcard Day 2024 souvenir, with many sending postcards to friends, family, and even some postcards to HQ. Isn't that
lovely?
the end? That's it for the news.
Thanks.
Moving
Thanks for
on.
coming.
All the news that's worth printing. Hey, this may seem, a little awkward at this point, but we have a guest tonight called Komakino. I don't know if you've met him
You
yet.
do?
Hey, look, there's a guest down there.
Hi.
He's known for his award-winning GIF horror entries. I don't know if they're really good or they're horrible, but they're award-winning.
They're good.
He's known for his artistic skills and his very popular YouTube channel. I'm sure there were people there with wrenches, not to mention all his wonderful costumes.
How much do I owe you again for all that nice stuff? you said?
500?
Like,
And,
Okay.
and you get a free wrench.
so sweet.
We'll throw in a wrench for the fun. Yeah.
Done it before.
See, you said Carnation was fun, posted a video, and Carlos watched it.
Yay, that was one person. Woo! Thanks, Carlos.
I'll get the watch hours up. Keep watching it, Carlos.
Just
I wonder
put
who
it
that
on
one of you
repeat.
was.
Repeat.
Repeat on the background, go to bed.
Oh, sure. Speaking of learning how you, yes. So Komakino, welcome to the show. Good to have you here. I mean, some of us saw you very recently. It's fun, and we'll talk about.
Well, thanks for having me back here. It's a 5th time on here or something like that.
Wow.
I don't have a notebook like a JT copy to keep track of all that stuff. There, but
Oh, you should.
I'm sorry.
I don't think anybody has a notebook quite like JT Coffee has a notebook.
That's true.
She is the queen of notebook. But
She's
yes.
she's coming up as well. So
Ooh,
hold your breath.
Not tonight, but on an upcoming episode.
Hold
she's
your
just
breath.
gonna
You
walk
become
into ghosts from
semi-transparent
holding
like
your
me.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's just gonna walk right into Komakino's studio there and join the. No, she's not.
Oh God, that'd be scary.
It's a
Someone actually got in the
horror
house.
episode.
All right. Well, talking about scary, there have been some scary events for the Halloween theme, like terror on the peninsula. I hear CNW was it.
It was terrifying.
Was it? Tell us all about it.
See, I think I'm the only one from the podcast here that was on it. I mean, there are listeners. I mean, I ran into several people there.
It's a long drive.
It was 45 minutes for me. A little longer for those in Canada or on the east side of the state.
Yeah, I bet.
It still would have involved that 45-minute drive.
Plus.
We call that 45
Almost in
plus.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, 45 plus. Yeah. Just it's it's a stretch. There over the 3-day period, there were a series of 7 events, 12 brand new caches, all themed, and a couple of adventure labs placed. It was quite the busy weekend.
Sounds like it.
Now, I only went for one day. I went for Saturday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there was events. I found 7 of the 12 caches between the 3 events I attended, and I searched for some highly favorited caches in the area. That's why I didn't get all 12 of those caches. I was looking for some others as well. Now, the whole day kind of had this mega event feel to it, right? So it felt like, you go to a mega event and there are several side events going on and, new caches to find and you're out caching with people. That's kind of the feel it had, but with fewer people to avoid. Wait, did I say that part out loud? Yeah. So if you're not into a lot of people, this is a lot of fun. Now, last year at this very same event, they've somehow come across a warehouse that they can use. So they have this warehouse space. Last year they had 5 or 6 escape rooms in there, which were a lot of fun. But this year they put out the new caches to find and the adventures instead.
Okay, so people weren't really there wasn't so when you say it had a mega event feel, but it wasn't like everybody was hanging out for the day at one place. There was as you say multiple events, 7 I think I saw in the notes there, spread out across different areas, but also caches to go find. So how big of an area did this cover, Chris?
It didn't quite cover the entire peninsula. The caches I was driving to, I tend to start up north and work my way south, or wherever I want to be for the event, right? This was a little southeast I needed to be. I drove like 20 minutes, and then the next cache was 5 minutes away, 7 minutes away, 10 minutes, so you weren't driving all that far. And there were some very good caches there. Some of them were goblin dust caches, which are always worthy of a find, right? Yeah. In fact, there was a geocache at his house. He wasn't there. I went through to make sure he wasn't there. No, but he wasn't there. Huh.
Did you check all the rooms?
Well, I might have missed one or two.
Okay.
I don't know why he had all those locks on the inside of his house, but anyway, that's a different question.
It's an escape house.
If you've met goblin dust, then you probably understand why.
Wow.
But they still had a chili cook-off competition.
Well, that's neat.
Oh yeah. I want to say there were 5 chilies to choose from.
Wow.
And pumpkin carving as well.
Must have been a gas. Must have been a gas.
Oh yeah. Well, powered my ride home, let me tell you.
Rode home alone.
It wasn't by choice either. I kept dropping people off. They're like, okay, I've had enough. I want out.
Here's good. Just let me off right here. I'm good.
If you're looking for a good chili, you need to talk to Go Warcat. She's won now 2 years in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for her. That's awesome.
So there you go. Chili is such a great contribution to Earth.
Indeed.
And greenhouse gases.
Oh, look at that. Neil Moore in Michigan has a great chili cooking event in November each year.
There you go. Learned something new.
Yeah.
Bob Billy is there with his special roadkill chili.
Yeah.
For all
It's
that.
different every year because, you never know
Freshly
what you're going
made.
to find.
Just found it.
You hit it, we spit it.
No.
All right. So that was a fun weekend. Does that wrap that one up?
I think so. That was the Bremerton area and around, around the peninsula there.
Okay. And then the following weekend, everybody on this screen that's cool met up again at a new event, Where did you go for that one?
Rich, why don't you take it?
Okay, hi. Went to the Halloween extravaganza out in Bellevue, hosted by everyone's favorite Bounce gadget cacher. So
Bounce
a really
and
cool
Goblin Dust
event out there.
co-hosted.
Lots of fun.
Mhm.
Well, that's why Goblin Dust wasn't home, I guess.
Yeah.
Yay.
He was up in Bellevue preparing.
Did you go
Yeah.
through Bounce's house when you got up there, Chris?
Well, no, there weren't any bounce houses available.
All right.
Too funny. Yeah, that was a really, really fun event in it was in Bellevue. I always get the communities mixed up.
It
Bellevue,
was in Bellevue.
Factoria. It's kind of a weird spot, but yeah, you could say Bellevue.
Okay. It was, I think, so it was huge. I mean, that felt like a mega event. And we basically spent the better part of the day there. I think most of us did.
I was there from noon to 7.
There you go. Yeah. I think about
Yeah.
this. Yeah. We were there at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Were you with me?
We all pretty much. Well, you guys left, but I was hanging out with you there in the droid room with the Star Wars things.
Well, and I
And,
think
And we didn't break any of them.
No, not at all.
Not a one.
we're not
Not-
going to
it's not a
talk about
we.
that.
It's a you.
We said we weren't going to talk about that. But I think, yeah. Oh,
GSM times 2
no.
says 30 minutes into the podcast and Komakino finally gets to answer a question.
Yay.
Oh dear, yeah. No.
Thanks for joining us tonight. That's all we have time for.
All right, it's a pleasure. See you guys next time.
Well, no, but I think one of the things that I thought was really cool, Rich, was and I mean I had heard about this because the guys the hosts had been on a previous podcast, but I didn't really know what to expect when we got there. But it's a 3-story office building, the entire building,
And it's
Yes.
a large office building.
yeah,
Large
and,
size.
And so, Rich, like what all was there to see there when we got there?
Yeah. Now, if you had attended the May the 4th event, same location, May the 4th event had 2 floors of this building. And then for this event here, they expanded to all 3, of which there was even like a room that he didn't have ready for the event. I do have a behind the scenes clip of that in my video the video is put together. I need to watch it to make sure everything works and then
What?
render it out and post it. So probably
No,
it's
just
going to be
post
late.
it. It's going to
So
be
just-
fine. Yeah, quality
We'll fix it
control
in
is
post.
overrated. Look at this podcast. Wait,
What
I
could
wasn't
go
supposed
wrong?
to say that out
No.
loud either.
Yeah, but it's funny because this building, I used to work in that building from 2001 until 2012. It used to be the Verizon wireless building. That one and the other 2 buildings across the street to the east were the Verizon buildings. So when the May the 4th event was taking place, I was looking at it on a map and it's like, I got to go back to work. So,
Geocaching is work for you, isn't it?
yes, why? Yes, it's a good work though. So it's
Did you
funny.
find your office space that you used to sit in?
Yes, I can go to
Okay.
be like, this is where HR was, and this is where I used to sit. That's where I used to sit. That's where you used to sit. That's where this group was. We had team meetings in all of the event rooms.
And you spent a lot of time at HR, didn't you?
What's that?
You spent a lot of time with HR, didn't
Yeah, they just wouldn't let me out. I would just go to work, punch in, go to HR, and like, what did I do now?
you? I'm going to do something. Let me just get this done.
Let me just do it from here because this is be quicker.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool. Like a lot of the side rooms and little puzzles that they had set up. They carried over some from the May the 4th event, like the laser grid where you had to do you work your way through it without tripping the laser, like the Mission Impossible thing. And
Mission Impossible style. Yep.
yeah, so they brought some of those over, but then they also had a lot of new unique puzzles, which was really cool. Like they had from the 3rd floor, they had a periscope where you could look at a screen and the camera went down to the room below it, and you had to turn the periscope around to try and find the secret words to write down on your puzzle sheet there for the raffle and stuff. So it was cool seeing how they took this place that I worked for like 11 years and made it fun. Made it someplace where I'm like, wow, I'm glad to be back here again.
I'd like to go back to work here.
Yeah,
that
If
was
work was
the
like
cool
that, it
thing,
would
though.
have been so cool.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on it a little bit, Rich, but I think maybe to give people who weren't able to go kind of the sense of the scope. I mean, we're talking 3 stories, a full 3-story office building used for the event, and 24 rooms, each room having a unique puzzle challenge
Yeah.
to solve in there. And then you'd solve the challenge or solve the puzzle and get a code word. And so you had kind of like a passport, like on a geo tour, and
Mhm.
collect all the code words to get into the prize drawings. And so that was fun. But yeah, like you've mentioned a few of the puzzles, like 24 different, like it was, you
Yeah,
could,
some you could finish real quick. You could go in, do one thing, boom, done. And there was one that they had where it was like an escape room where one puzzle led to the next puzzle, which led to the next puzzle, which led, and like half hour plus later. Seriously, this one took a long time to complete, but it was cool the way everything played together. And even when you got to the end, you still had to make reference to parts from the beginning to put in code words on the what is it, the codex, the
yeah,
device where you had like the letters and you twist it to spell the word
cryptex.
to unlock it. So a lot of thought went into these things. And if you're familiar with some of his like Bounce's gadget caches, like the one out in Issaquah, the It Takes Three, I think it is.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, they had one where it's like it takes like 4.
Six.
Or, no, I think it was
4
like
or
it takes
5,
5. Yeah, where it was like, okay, you had the things lined up on the wall. Everyone went up and pushed the buttons. People were at each station to push the button, and the thing wouldn't open. And it's like, why is this not opening? And went up to the cash container there, and I'm looking like, oh, maybe it's busted. Maybe I need to go down and talk to Chad and find out what's wrong with this. Oh, there's a 5th one down here. So there was 5 different boxes where you had to have 5 people to push the buttons to open up the cache. So great way to get people to work together to solve these things, because some, as I said, some are quick where you just go in, listen to a thing, or you move something around. But there was a lot of teamwork and stuff involved too, which is really cool.
One of the ones, and Lori says, I loved how everyone worked together to solve the puzzles. And indeed, there was a lot of cooperation going on, which was fun. You got to work with different people at different times, just who randomly happened to show up, because people were doing the rooms and you didn't have to do them in any particular sequence. It was fun. But one of the ones I really enjoyed that I thought was creative, you talked about the video periscope. There was another one where there was a camera in the corner of a room, and and there was another room that had a camera and a video screen. And so camera and video screen in 2 different rooms. One of the 2 rooms has the lock box with the coded lock on it. The other room, outside of the view of the camera, has the combination, but there's no audio. So you got to get your team members to split between the 2 rooms and figure out how you're going to hand signal the numbers back to the other room. It was a lot of fun. Stuff like that was
that was fun, trying to figure out where we came across room A. I was like,
Where's room
we
B?
need to go find room B. Where's room B?
Because
by the time we found it, the people in room A weren't looking at the monitor to see us. Hey, we're over here.
And the puzzle rooms weren't in sequence.
right.
You had your puzzle sheet, 1 through 24. But when you would get to the floor, you'd be like, oh, this is puzzle 4. You go down the hallway. Oh, this is puzzle 13. So you couldn't do it like, let's say, in sequence. You had to jumble it up there. So I thought it was kind of neat the way that he did it for that, as well as the May the 4th event too, which is kind of the same thing.
Right. I expected to see, Darth Vader with a pumpkin on his head. And they were going to get there. We did it, and turned it from a May 4th to a Halloween event. But no, nothing like that at all.
They announced some stuff for the next May the 4th or May the 3rd, May the 5th, or they changed the date on it because May the 4th is like on a Friday or something. So
I think it's May the 3rd is when it's going to be. But it will be the May the 4th event, but it's going to happen May 3rd of 2025. And as GSM,
that's a Saturday, May 3rd. Yeah.
There you go. As GSM times 2 says, OMG, that sounds like this could be a replacement for going caching. And I want to say, I really want to encourage everyone who's listening to this podcast who didn't get a chance to go, plan for the May the 3rd event. It's going to be in the same location.
Mm-hmm.
So just look up Rich's work history, and then you can find where LinkedIn
Yep, online.
Komakino on LinkedIn. But plan to come down. Like, the quality of event that these folks put in. And here's another thing: at the tail end of the night, everybody walked away with some sort of prize. Nobody
Yeah.
walked away empty-handed. So, they put so much time and effort and finance into these events. Like, plan for it. It is going to be amazing on May the 3rd. They'll come up with new things. It's going to be fun. And the more people there, the more fun it is.
Yeah, I think he was even saying at the end, Chad was saying at the end that they were going to try and make it a mega, because a mega is what, like 500 people or something, or
Yep.
what's the numbers?
300 will attend.
300, but yeah. So I think they're trying to push for it to be a mega event, which would be great, because if this becomes like a regular thing, we've got a nice 3-story building that we can have everybody in, so definitely if you can attend it, throw down your will attend, and let's make it a mega.
Yeah, they're hoping that the Star Wars event will turn mega.
I think we can do it. I think
Mhm.
the CNW listener can do it.
Oh, definitely. If everybody
Yeah.
listening to this podcast just decided to go there, it could
There
be a
you go.
mega.
And also the neat thing about this too is that it just wasn't like an event where you just show up and do a bunch of puzzles and hang out at the end to win stuff. They had a gadget cache, make your own
Academy.
gadget cache course or a class thing going on,
Yeah.
where you could make one of 2 different types of gadget caches. One where it's like a container with a plastic tube that was cut out that you put a bison in, and you try and shake it to get the bison to land into the tube so you can slide it out of the container.
Which I absolutely hate, and nobody should ever put that out.
Hammer time, man. Hammer time. MC Hammer ain't wrong.
That's right.
And then they had like the cubes, where you have to line up the cubes,
Mhm.
and if they're in the right sequence, then the numbers would show, which is really cool. But I'm like, yeah, if you put that out, someone's going to steal it. but it's cool having these courses to get people into the electronics
Mhm.
and the tools and things, to where they can maybe use that knowledge to maybe make something like a future cool gadget cat.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
I need to wind back a little bit, and thanks, Seebeck Tribe. What don't you like about that kind? She asks. Because at the previous week's event, the Terror on the Peninsula, Seebeck Tribe put out this cache. Right? It's about the size of a coffee can. You remember the old coffee cans, the metal coffee cans, right? Clear plastic around the outside. About that big, right?
Big as
There
my
you go.
hands.
And with a PVC tube in the middle that we cut with a slot, so you've got to spin the bisons around the tube and drop them around the cylinder and drop them into that tube. Then you can slide them out. She did one with 3 bison tubes in it, and of course, 2 of them were oops, close, try again, and the third one had the log in it to sign. And it was the rainiest part of the day. I'm in a downpour. The coordinates wouldn't get me close to where I wanted to go, so I'm wandering the woods, and then I find this. And I'm like, oh no,
You
did.
two still friends when you were done with that?
So as soon as I saw her at the event, I said, I don't like you anymore.
Yeah, but I
gave
think
you
it's
a favorite point anyway.
I think it's a good point, though, Rich, that you brought up about the gadget, because the Gadget Academy aspect. Bounce is known, as is Goblin Dust, also for the creative physical caches they put out. Like anybody who's done Johnny Island's Throne Room, or any of the other Bounce caches in that area. Like the creativity that goes into these, and the amount of engineering that goes into these. Well, basically, you had the opportunity for him to walk you through a simple one, if you chose to do that one, which was the not simple to solve but simple to build, which was the tube one with the bison tubes in it, the spin it around and drive yourself crazy one, and then the electronic one that Chris, you and I built, which again, like it. I was just so excited and having so much fun in the Gadget Academy, because it's in my job, I don't get to actually build a lot of things with my hands. So there's this opportunity to have the soldering iron and the solder and the PCB boards and the circuits and just putting everything together. And then by the end, having something that works, like it does the thing that it's supposed to do. It was awesome. And Brian from the Vancouver Villains, he was sitting with us as well. And CRS 98, and we had lots of our listeners were in there and having fun. Very, very cool. Cache Canada is asking how the cubes actually work. Like, do you mean on, I don't know if he means like on the inside or just how the game works, but basically the game works that you have 4 plastic cubes with LED displays, 7-segment LED displays on the front, and they're set up so that they will only light, all 4 of them will only light up with a number if they're put in the right sequence. That's the puzzle to it. How it works is a little bit of circuitry with magnetic switches. So the magnets have to all line up, and that's how the switches get thrown so that it works. So it sounds a lot simpler than it was to put together, but very cool.
Yeah. And after, well, let's see, Land Monkey and I, along with others, some people, this is their very first time using a soldering iron, right? And others, we've used it for years and it's no challenge. But it was interesting to see all these people together and trying to go at the same pace. And eventually it's like, you know what, I'm just going to jump ahead and get these done. But still, I spent 3 hours there putting these together. And I was telling Land Monkey and anybody else who would listen is like, I put a lot of time into this, 3 hours. It was creative. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. They're cool. I don't want to put them out and have somebody steal them and destroy them. But
that's why you got the knowledge for you can maybe do it in the future with something different.
So no, I think I still will put them out, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And like you said, Land Monkey, you came away with something that works. The first time it was like, look at that, it works.
Yeah. That was so
and
fun.
And those numbers are programmable. You can put anything else you want in there.
So Rich, you were saying that you did, and we saw you doing some filming, but there was also something you were doing right at the start of the event when I first ran into you and the kid. What were you doing there?
I was sitting there in the, I guess you could say, like the main room, trying to sell my comic book. I didn't expect to like move and sell a whole crap ton or anything. Mm-hmm. I just, because most of the people that were there already bought it at the block party, but I did sell a couple books there, and I did do a commission art piece there for the Supernauts. Oh, I'm sorry, the Vancouver Villains. So got a chance to get a little commission piece in and sold some stickers and some buttons there. I figured just something to do, just to kind of get the book out there again and get some spending cash. Christmas is coming up.
Christmas is coming. I was going to say, and the comic book could be a great Christmas present.
Well, I was just going to say, if people, maybe some of the people listening to this podcast don't know about the comic, Rich, why don't you just throw a quick plug in for the comic?
Why, sure. Back in the COVID years.
Yeah.
In the before.
Joshua Johnson, the geocaching vlogger, approached me with an idea of making a comic book.
Or 3.
Why, yes. It's all the same thing.
There are extra copies available if you're still.
Yes, I've got a whole bunch here. So yeah, it's the world's first official geocaching comic book. Features Joshua Johnson going on a big worldwide adventure as he's going out to actual geocaches. So he explores the different geocaching types at different locations around the world. And again, these are caches that you could actually go out to if you wanted to go to the top of Mount Everest. Good luck. But yeah, it's a nice way to,
see, it's not that hard. You just have to go through a maze. You can get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, if it was only that easy. And even going to space, just hop on the ship and go. Very easy as cake, right? So, but yeah, it was a project I worked on with Joshua from 2021 or so. No, yeah. And then we sold it at the block party back in 22. So got extra copies here if people are interested. So make a great stocking stuffer, a great way to introduce people to geocaching that haven't heard of it or don't know much about it. They can see, as I said, all the different caching types there. There's lots of puzzles and games and stuff that are in it there. So as you read it, you're actually looking for things. You can find trackable numbers that you can log as finds. Yeah, it was a real fun project. Had a great time working on that there. Yeah, Cache Canada. Yeah, it was I wouldn't say Kickstarter. It was what, Indiegogo, I think, to which people contributed money, and at different levels they could have like a caricature of them put in. And let me see if I can find Cache Canada. And there he is. You aren't. And it looks just like
him.
Yeah.
How appropriate.
And there's also another person in here. Some say he likes to monkey around. Some say he likes to hang out at Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Oh, no. This is called
Earth caches.
Monkey. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, Earth caches. Of course. How about that?
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. And I know podcast isn't about the comic, but I did appreciate that Rich and Josh reached out to me as they were forming the idea of the book, because I actually remember the text messaging quite clearly. I was on a trip in Victoria, and we were walking along a beach, and I got a message on, Josh is sending me a message. What's that about? It's like, hey, you interested in being in a comic book? Like, okay, what's up?
Nani?
You can't tell anybody, but here's the idea. So that was a lot of fun. And Rich, you did an amazing job with the artwork and everything in that. So definitely something. Oh, how can I get copies of the book? So
shoot me an email, Komikino, I got my name down here, at hotmail.com, and I can send you the information there so you can order a copy.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, thanks, Rich. So you were you were there signing and selling the books.
Thank you, Caching Cats. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
there you go. Komikino at hotmail.com for folks who are still interested in looking at that as a Christmas gift. But also we had a lot of fun in Caching Cats. Yeah, you were in there. We had a lot of fun teaming up and going through the stuff, but also just there you go.
Where's my camera? It's somewhere. There you go.
There we go. The peacock.
Advertising for NBC right there.
Very, very fun. But we ran into a lot of folks, and one of them, folks that we had a chance to, because you had this time, right, of going through the rooms.
Heather, the monkeys, Cache Canada, the Vancouver villains.
It's hard to switch that, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a bunch of people there, so it was a great opportunity to, if you like events and meet your caching friends that you only see at events. It was a great place to see them, and again, work with them on these puzzles and things. So it's not like an event where you just sit down and like, hey, did you find a GC OU812?
Oh yeah.
I
hated that.
How do you solve that puzzle? Just give me the answer. It wasn't like that. You actually work with them on these puzzles in those rooms here. So it was a great way to get people to do something more than just sit down and eat pizza.
Yeah. And we talked a fair bit there about the Gadget Academy. That was optional. You didn't have to do that.
Right.
And you could spend your time doing some other stuff.
And it was an extra cost.
There was an extra cost to it. But I think that cost also helps fund the event, right? Because it was a free event. You didn't have to pay to go.
Yeah. Chad was selling
coins.
And there were
trackable coins here. So
very cool coin. Coffiny coin.
Yay.
On theme.
Yeah. So if you go to those events, I would say buy the coins. It helps pay for the stuff. Because if you look at all the stuff that he put up, it's not like he just sat down and put all that stuff up the day before. There's a lot of stuff that he went out and bought for these things, like the blinking eyes that they put into the logbook, which was a giant casket, and then like the room that had the blinking eyes in it, the room with
the toxic bubble room.
Yeah. That thing was just nuts.
That was
that was the coolest. So it's like he puts a lot of, not just his time, but a lot of money into it. So buying the trackables and the coins and things, or taking in the class, helps recoup some of that money for him.
For sure. So it's definitely something to think about if you're planning to go on May 3rd. We really encourage you to show up on May 3rd. If you just can't afford anything but to show up and have fun, awesome, do it. But if you can, find find ways to donate to support the event.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm hoping that these will keep going. The guys have indicated that they're willing to keep it going as long as they can. So yeah, let's support it.
Yeah.
Let's get a new mega going in the Northwest here.
Exactly. Cache Canada says the amount of work Bounce and Goblin Dust and
Yeah.
all their helpers did.
And other volunteers for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know Goblin Dust spent like 6 weekends there.
Driving out to
Right.
to that location. That's commitment.
Yeah, and
Bounce shared how room kept evolving as the setup went. That was the toxic bubble room, the one that I heard of.
yeah, there was like a bubble machine,
Right.
and as you know, it would spin and blow all the bubbles out. But then the desk that was there, which you'll see in the video,
It made a huge wet spot on the floor as the bubbles piled up.
yeah, it caked that table so full of
So they put a table there
bubble
to
goo.
catch the bubbles.
Yeah, so I accidentally touched it because I saw that there were these discs on the table, and it's like it had reference to Resident Evil, the video game, and I was like, oh, cool. So I touched it to pick it up, and it was like, oh, this is so disgusting. And I put the thing down, and I looked at my hand and go, wow, my hand's glowing in the black light.
Oh,
Suddenly you're
that's 'cause
covered in
it's-
toxic waste.
Yes,
Guys,
just like the keyword that was on the wall.
yeah. Speaking of putting your hands in disgusting things, what about the big vat?
With the big, with the ball.
Arby's.
Okay, when I went into that room, there was a bunch of kids that were just going ape nuts. They were just. I'm going to say something else, but these kids were just screaming and yelling, and they would put their hand in there and they would throw the balls and stuff at their other siblings and their dad there, and dad's like, "Don't do that," but then they would do it again, and so I eventually just left the room because it was just so crazy. But yeah, there's people who were like, yeah, that was pretty cool. You put your hand in there, just like, oh.
It was so to help people understand what we're talking about, it's basically a horse trough, like those big aluminum things that people do the ice baths in, a big trough, and it was entirely filled to the top with some sort of like jello slime and
gel balls
and
water. So you would just, it's like a
Like Orbeez?
like a big
Orbeez.
Yeah, and it was
ball
cool.
pit there.
Well,
like a big ball pit, but with like tiny little balls. But he said that he bought packs that had like 1,000 plus of those things, and he said the number of packs that he bought that he used, and he says, yeah, the total number of balls in that thing is like over 1 million. And it was just like, dang, that's a lot of balls.
But it was fun, right? Like, and we're even getting comments.
Yeah, you
from
had to find
other-
a cube that had the keyword on it.
Yeah.
But there was different red herring cubes thrown in there, so you'd
Including
find, oh, got it, and it would say try
disembodied
again. So then you would have to dig around. And also, Chad had hid a bunch of keys before the event. I don't think we mentioned this, to where it would open up a special prize at the end. These gold bars. They were 3D. And he said
As long
that
as
he
they were
had.
using real gold, I don't care how they're made.
I know, right? but he said that he had one of the keys in there.
Oh,
So I don't know if anybody found it, but he said that one of the keys was in that big
That's
vat.
funny.
So,
perfect.
but yeah,
Yeah, and it was big enough 4 people could get comfortably around it and put their arm in almost to the shoulder,
Up to the elbow or to the armpit.
past the elbow.
yeah, shoulder deep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Jim, you gotta put it in your calendar for May 3rd. We need you out there, buddy.
See what we can
Yeah,
do.
Orbeez. Yeah, kind of like those things. If you know what those are, it's about that size there, and just like millions of them in there.
They're very small. You put them in water and they, inflate to, I don't know, 2 or 3 times their size.
Yeah.
But it's still smaller, than
Smaller than paintballs. If you're into
yeah.
paintball, it's smaller
Not that
than that.
size. I was trying to come up with what do kids play with now? Super balls? No, they don't know what those are, do they?
Their phones.
Oh yeah, an icon on your phone about that size.
Yeah. But there was also, after the event, I was talking with Chad there for about like an hour or so, and I even had a chance to chat with Goblin Dust because I've never met the guy in person
Oh,
before. So
okay.
I had a chance to talk with Goblin Dust. He's a really cool guy.
Yes.
But Chad
Stop
was
by his house.
taking, what's that?
Stop by his house anytime.
Yeah, you just show me where it is. But on the first floor, there was, I would say, not many puzzles.
Mhm.
But Chad was talking and saying that, oh yeah, we had a big conference room back here where we had some stuff set up for a puzzle, but he couldn't get the parts and stuff in on time to work it. But come back here. I'll show you how it worked. So went into this room, and it was maybe like, let's say, 3 times the size of the big meeting room that we came in,
Okay.
or maybe 1.5 times the size of that one room where they had the prizes at the end. But there was a laser, a green laser that he had taped up to a wall, and it would shine a beam to a little mirror on a stick in the corner where the light would hit the mirror, and then you would turn it. And I think he was saying that he was supposed to have something in the center of the room to where you could turn the beam to hit it, and depending on how you hit the thing, lights would go to the different side rooms that were connected to this bigger room. So again, participation.
Mhm.
You would have somebody turn the mirror, and then people standing in where the side rooms are to where the laser would bounce around and then point to a number or a word on the wall, which would have been cool to see, but he just couldn't get that thing going in time. But I've got a little behind the scenes thing showing it there in the video whenever that gets posted. But yeah, just seeing like the stuff he had planned for this was just insane. You just, dang, it's a lot of
time spent.
lot of thought and a lot of
Yeah.
lot of time put into it.
And expense.
Yeah.
Cash and Can't said, I saw that laser, had no idea what it was for.
Yeah.
And Cash Canada, we saw the laser in the mirror and played with it for a bit.
Yeah,
we did
yeah.
too, and couldn't, I was like, oh, well, the only thing it seemed to hit was this thermostat. And so, somebody thought, well, what if you hold it there long enough? Does it raise the temperature and do something?
Oh, that would be cool.
I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool. Okay. But yeah, we couldn't figure out what it was for.
Mhm.
And thought, well, maybe it was left over from Star Wars Day.
But yeah, so lots of stuff. I mean, we're over time, so we'll probably have to wrap it up here shortly. Yeah, no worries.
See, you finally got me talking, and now we're over time, and now
we
you're like,
dawdled
"Hey,
way too long at the start.
Sorry.
We'll have to do better. But definitely want to encourage everybody who did make it out to plan to come out on May 3rd, and those who couldn't make it out, Jim, put it in the calendar for May 3rd, 2025. We need to see out there. You know what we need to do? We need to do a live podcast from the Star Wars.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The
That'd be
whole
fun.
team. That'd be fun.
Fantastic. Well,
I don't know, you don't really want me to come over because all the years that you built up and told me how wonderful the Tri-Cities Geocoin Challenge was, I made it to one and they shut them down.
So it's always the
Oh.
last event when you come.
Yeah, if I come over there, they may go, okay, this has been a good run.
Might
Done.
be best. Just sign a will attend,
Okay.
but just don't show up.
or don't sign the will attend and show
And
up,
show
because
up,
then they won't know you're coming.
Maybe that's it.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
the secret. Oh, Heather likes that idea. Yes, live. Good idea. And Heather, thank you for introducing yourself to us. We meet a lot of people. We have no idea what their names are until oh, wait. And you recognize our voice, but we don't recognize yours. So you have to come up and introduce yourself. Don't be shy. We don't bite much.
And hold a little wrench next to you.
Yeah. And carry
Everybody
a
bring a wrench.
Yeah.
And then we know who you are.
You need to have like a cashing in the Northwest event where everybody just shows up with a wrench.
Huh.
I'd be a little concerned about that, but okay.
I'm gonna have to go find a box of wrenches.
Or you can make like a big gadget catch, where everybody has to use the wrench to take the thing apart to find the logbook in the middle.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, I can torque down those bolts, and it'll take a while to get through them all. Komakino,
Yes.
too many good ideas. No more. We're done. Don't share all the good ideas right now. But thank you so much for joining us. It was so good to spend the day with you.
Yes.
And
also the CETO that we did, Chris.
yes, we did a CETO, didn't we?
Yeah.
Ah,
That
the
was-
good old days. So good. Good. And listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Absolutely. We want to take a moment to thank our corporate Denali level sponsors. That is Landsharks and Cachely. LANDSHARKZ.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online, and they're shipping those online orders daily. And Cachely is the app for iOS for geocaching. Make sure you go and download that from cachely.com. We want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters, not only Cachely and Landsharks, but also Cool Cow Cachers, who we saw at the event as well, Hawaiian Mile. And if you want to know more about supporting this show, click on that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website.
You've been saving that up the whole time here.
It occurred to me at the beginning of the show. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know who did that? Logwork did that.
And Dora Moore.
Peach of Washington.
Flagman.
Subway Mark.
Acker Doc.
MC3 Cat.
Antaeus.
Seabeck Tribe.
M-Nerf.
Whidbey Island Gal.
Camp Clan.
Gas Station Tuna.
Mountain Bike.
Limax.
The Terrible Tees.
Railroad.
J-Car.
Genies.
Just finding our way.
Team Noltex.
BC Rock Crawler.
CRS 98.
GeoNav Pro.
Greenwords.
The LG 9000.
GeoBirder.
Just Carlo.
Skyhawker.
You Talks to Rocks.
You, Dak.
Butterfly.
B Pendragon.
GSM times 2.
Trexer.
Korsgat.
Boomer 365.
Kid Vegas 19.
And Geocache. All right, that's a great list, and we'd love to add more to it. So click that Patreon link if you feel so inclined. Komakino, thank you so much that we finally got to start talking to you after all of our stalling.
And then they just wouldn't shut up.
Well, if people they have a question for you, they didn't get it answered tonight, or they want to reach out and buy a comic book, or they just want to come, get in hold of you, how would you like them to do that again?
My email, komakino@hotmail.com. There we go. Wow. As if on cue. Also have a YouTube channel. Same thing. KOMIKINO. You can watch my geocaching videos there. The video for the event here, as I said, still have to render things out with it, so it's not going to probably be up tomorrow, which I usually have things up on Fridays. So give it a few days, probably over the weekend it should be up. So definitely you can check the videos out there of our geocaching adventures.
Love it. And folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. So if you like the show, please click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website. And of course, if you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. But if you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Because if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. You can also call in, just like we know Komakino has done, call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or help us steer our podcast back on track any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com if you're missing a blue wrench, for example. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy, and Brian Lang. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2024, but not much longer, by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I don't know if we have time for it, but we're going to stay tuned for
The After Show.
the after show.
After
Oh, look, Seabiscuit watched your Carnation video.
Thank you. Well, I saw her at the event there, so it was fun seeing her down there.
Yes. And you know what? Actually, that's a good point. There is a Facebook, I'm not sure if the Facebook group or whatever it is, but certainly there are lots of Facebook posts. If you search on Facebook for Halloween extravaganza, you'll see lots of photos of the things we were talking about and the fun that everybody had.
Mhm.
So check that out as well.
And we really didn't even mention the keys that were hidden about. Komakino did briefly. I mean, they were hid all around the community for miles around, right? I hid one down here in Tacoma.
I got one.
There was one there's some in Olympia up north. It was all over.
Mhm.
They'll do the same thing again for Star Wars event. And we're going to have Bounce on to talk about these upcoming events, some other event he's doing, this Gadget Cache Academy. We're just going to have him on, for like the next month and get all the secrets out of him.
Every episode, it's the Bounce Show.
Yeah. The Bounce House.
Ooh,
that's
we're
funny.
on to something.
We're on to something indeed. Hey, speaking of Halloween events, and the last name when we went through our patrons, the last name that came up was Geocaches. Did you see the post on Facebook of her Halloween costume?
No. Was it a blue wrench?
Star Wars?
No, she dressed up as one of the PNW trolls.
Oh, I love it.
And the costume is
Oh,
amazing.
really?
It's like, it looks like wooden shakes, like the same thing as the trolls. It's brilliant. I was super impressed.
That's very cool.
I got to look that up.
Right? Yeah.
Genius.
I thought it was. I thought that was really cool.
Let's see. I think we have some FATAS. Let's start
Okay.
with, Seebeck Tribe attended both events over 2 weekends.
Nice.
GSM times 2 got to a Halloween event, but didn't have the normal number of 10 attendees, likely because there was a Dodger game on.
Ah,
Oh,
Hey, congrats, Dodgers.
Yeah.
You did well.
did they?
Yes.
They did. Yeah. It is now, today's the first day that the Mariners start building up hopes for next year so they can crush those dreams in late summer.
they do that every year.
Yes,
Well, at least they're consistent.
that's right. They're the only
Oh,
team.
God.
They're the only Major League Baseball team that's never lost a World Series game.
That's right.
There's
I
a
like the way you
subject
put the
there.
positive spin on that.
There you go.
Caching Cans was also at the same event as Cache Canada. No wrenches, only screwdrivers and soldering tools.
Indeed. Yes.
And hey, everybody, this weekend, set your clocks, fall back an hour, right? Don't
No.
waste that hour sleeping. You can get out and geocache.
Do they do that in Canada too?
Yep.
Geocache, yes. They geocache there too.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yes. We are all on the not all of the country. Not all of the province are on the whole daylight saving time thing. But
Not
British
all the
Columbia
states are
is-
either.
So British Columbia, like Washington, and I think Oregon and California do it as well.
Yep.
Because there's been conversations of like, well, maybe
Give up on
maybe
it.
that one province and those 3 states, we all just say, screw it, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah. By all means, put the clocks back where God intended this weekend, and then never change them again.
Right?
No, we got to have the longer day and just never change it. Then.
It's not any longer. It's shifted.
It's still 24 hours.
Yeah, well, it's shush.
You know what? I heard a great analogy once. What it's like, daylight savings time, it's like you have a quilt on your bed and you cut the top off and you move it down and sew it onto the bottom.
And then you think the blanket's longer.
You think the blanket's on?
Yep. Nope. You just shifted it. No. At noon, the sun should be directly overhead.
Indeed.
And if you're in the U.S., before we meet again, there'll be a little election thing going here next week. Get out and vote.
We don't care who you vote for. Just exercise your right to vote.
Vote for Pedro.
And
There
if
you go.
Yes.
if you don't vote, you can never complain about
right.
anyone in office.
I'm shocked that it was in the last presidential election, like only 2/3 of all Americans voted.
Do you know how
No,
many
You're an
countries, how many
American
citizens
citizen.
around the world?
Exercise your right.
Yeah, you know how many people around the world would kill to have that right?
Right.
And you just flaunt it? Get out and vote.
There you go. This message has been brought to you by Wits End. Wits End
Right.
approves this message.
It's one of the few times I say get involved in government.
Yeah.
Otherwise, ignore the unnecessary government control over your clocks.
Yes.
If you want to say in what happens with, there you
That's
go.
right.
You got to vote. All right.
Uh,
Hey,
okay.
one last FATAS before we wrap it up here. Starcacher. Whoops. Click it again. There we go. Starcacher says this week he published his virtual reward 4.0 GC Alpha Juliet Hotel 6 November at the Toledo Museum of Art and his very first adventure.
Nice.
A credit that he's had since before COVID. So there you go. If you are in the greater Toledo area, go check it out.
Well, if you're in the Toledo area, I've been there. It's not necessarily the greater Toledo area. It's just the Toledo area.
Well, now it's greater because
It's greater now.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, you're right. You're right. No, I want to say they did a lot of work right around the waterfront there and made it beautiful.
making Toledo.
See, I was
beautiful.
right. GSM times 2, 2/3, 66% of the voting eligible population turned out for the 2020 election.
That's not
Highest
even
rate
a
for any
C grade in school.
national election. Wow.
You can do better, America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We're watching.
Go Dodgers.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Good fun.
Great show.
Yay.
Folks, thank you so much. Sorry we went long. You know what? You're stuck in your commute and with traffic anyway. You'd hardly noticed. But until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.
Cash on.